Salakia family. I ended the video too soon. I had one more breakdown for you guys. It was from the book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 12 is where I started. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's kind of long. I'm going to just give you a summary of what it's about, basically. Okay, so it starts in verse 12 of chapter 25, and it ends somewhere around verse 30 is where it pretty much ends. If you want to read it yourself so you can, see that I'm not just telling you anything. But basically, in this parable, that was a man who was traveling into a far country, and he gave his goods, his valuables, to his servants. So he gave 5 talents to one of his servants. He gave 2 talents to the second servant, and he gave 1 talent to the third servant, right? So the servant who he gave 5 talents to, he took those 5 talents, he traded with them, and he multiplied them and gained 5 extra talents. So also he had the second servant who he gave 2 talents to, and that second servant, he took those 2 talents and he multiplied them and gained 2 extra talents. But the third servant, who he gave 1 talent to, he took that 1 talent and he buried it in the ground. He didn't do nothing with it at all. He just buried it in the ground. And when their master returned, each servant, of course, came back to him, but the servant who he gave 5 talents to, he, approached his master, gave him his 5 talents and told him, behold, I gained 5 talents more. And his master told him, you're a good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. I'm going to make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Okay, so the second servant came and he gave his master those 2 talents that he gave him. He returned them to him, but told him, I gained 2 extra talents as well. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. I'll make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. So the third servant came, right? And the third servant said, I knew you was a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you did not straw. I was afraid, so I took your talent and I buried it. I hid it in the earth, right? And here you go. Here's that talent that you gave me. I have it for you. So that servant's master, his Lord, answered him and said, you wicked and slothful. You knew I reap where I didn't sow, and I gather where I didn't straw. You should have basically took my money and made more money. So he said, take therefore the talent from him and give it unto him which had 10 talents. So basically, the man who took what his master gave him and did nothing with it, He was in hot water when the master got back. He was in trouble because he didn't do nothing with it. So the master said, take that from him since he didn't do nothing with it and give it to the ones who got even more, you know. So he said, and cast the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So this parable was to tell what the kingdom of heaven was like. It was to tell, what the return of the Messiah would be like. And it showed you that if you don't do nothing with what the Lord gave you, if you do no works, you're going to be in hot water when the Lord returns. But if you take what he gave you, the knowledge, the wisdom, you know, the law, because he said that's your understanding, that's your wisdom in the sight of the other nations. If you take that and you use it and you do the works and you spread his word, you know, and you show others how to understand his word, you show others how to keep his laws, his statutes, and his commandments, he's going to tell you, well done, faithful servant, you know. But if you do nothing, you take what he gave you, you take this word, you learn his word, but you don't do nothing with it, you're going to be cast into outer darkness. It's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth for you. So I picked this particular parable to show you that if you do no works, your faith ain't going to do nothing with you. Because as it said in the book of James, your faith without works is like a body without a spirit, is dead. So if you don't do nothing, you do zero works, your faith ain't gonna, profit you nothing. It's worth zero. That's all I wanted to say to y'all. Shalom, Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shah Barakatah. Until next time, Shalom, family.